because black people are always going to be livestock to vegans.
Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan, the YouTube channel that is not hosted by a sociopath, a narcissist, or a grifter. So I'm going to give a big shout out to our longtime viewer, Graven, for referring me to this video that's really critical of vegans, saying some really horrible things by a creator on TikTok and Twitter who I've never heard of before, Amani Barbarin. Apparently, I think she's gotten into some hate arguments with other vegans, so I'm not here to throw any hate at Amani Barbarin. She seems like she's very intelligent and eloquent, but on the topic of veganism, very misinformed. So I'm here merely to respond to the factual and conceptual inaccuracies that she made in this one video and set the record straight for vegans. So let's jump right in.
The white evangelical Christians use the unborn. White vegans use animals as a proxy so that they can be oppressed.
All right, so Amani, I've never heard this come from any vegan that I know, and trust me, I know hundreds and hundreds of vegans. I've been vegan since 2010. I've never heard vegans express us as being the oppressed ones. We are fighting for the rights of animals who are oppressed, but us, ourselves, vegans, no, we are not oppressed just because we're vegans.
Neither one of those groups are fighting for the actual oppressed. What they aim to do is position themselves as a proxy in absence of actually being an oppressed group of people.
You got so much wrong there, Amani. We are actually fighting for an oppressed group, not of people, as you want to call them, but animals. Animals are by definition oppressed. They are exploited their entire lives. They are treated cruelly. This fits the definition of oppression, and that's who we are fighting for. Let's just get this out of the way. Let's look at the definition of veganism so we're all on the same page, so we understand what veganism means. This definition, Amani, goes back to the 1940s, and it's basically people taking a stand against animal cruelty and exploitation, a philosophy and way of living. That way of living is not consuming animal products. Why? Because we believe animals shouldn't be exploited. Animals shouldn't be treated cruelly, which is exactly what happens when an animal is bred into existence solely for the purpose of exploiting its body for human purposes.
And it's particularly easy because, like with the unborn, animals can't speak for themselves. So it's perfect for them.
Perfect for them? Us? I think you have a severe misunderstanding of why people are vegan. It's not about us. It's not a selfish thing. I don't consume animal products because I believe it's wrong to consume animal products. We don't need to consume animal products. Why would I intentionally choose for animals to be treated cruelly when I can have a way of living which doesn't involve animals being killed for me for every meal? I'm not laying some kind of guilt trip out. I'm just telling you why I am vegan. It's not about my ego. It's because, animals don't have a voice. And by being a vegan activist, I am raising awareness about animal cruelty and exploitation.
And it is from that vantage point of that appropriated oppression that they get to decide which other life matters.
No, you're freelancing here as to what vegans are about, what we do, what we believe. Let's look at the definition of veganism again. It doesn't say anything about us deciding what other life matters. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation.
Which is where we get this wanton disregard for human atrocities and the comparison of marginalized people to animals.
No, that's not what veganism is about. We don't have a wanton disregard for human atrocities. I mean, maybe there are a few vegans that have a wanton disregard for human atrocities, but I'm sure there's plenty of non-vegans that have the same malignant psychological attributes as well. You can't blame that on vegans, but let's see where she's going with this.
Which is why we have Francesca here comparing animal agriculture to human slavery and denying women the right to vote.
All right, the way she says it sounds very horrible, comparing animal agriculture to these very human things. But let's see what Francesca actually said on Twitter. She said, non-vegans claim animal ag is fine because it's legal. Yes, I hear this argument all the time. If something's legal, it must be okay. But what Francesca did is compare or point out the fact that there have been things in the past that were technically legal, but when we look at them from today's perspective, we see they're plainly immoral, such as, well, human slavery used to be legal. Denying women the vote used to be legal. Burning and drowning people in the case of witchcraft was legal. Francesca's point, which Amani completely misses, that legality does not equate to morality. So from a logical and critical thinking perspective, was Francesca wrong to bring up slavery, the right to vote, drowning witches in our past? No, she was absolutely 100% correct in doing this. And I'm not just saying that because she's a vegan. I mean, she's making a proper comparison, comparing apples to apples, comparing the legality of something in our present, which is immoral, to things that were legal in our past that we see plainly now are immoral.
They also disregard the needs of disabled people and poor people who have very valid concerns about their ability to go vegan.
Amani, your timing's amazing because my most recent video from just last week was covering this exact topic. The accusation that many of us vegans hear all the time that it's a diet of the privileged or at least the middle class because it's so expensive to eat plants. And we just break down that misconception in this video. I mean, the staples of what I eat, what many long-term vegans eat, are some of the least expensive foods you can find in the store. We're talking like grains, legumes, potatoes, things you can get in bulk for super cheap. And in that video, we also showed how you can eat on less than $5 a day. And you're talking about having disabilities. Well, these are like zero recipe meals. You just mix some stuff together really quickly. If you have limited mobility with your hands, these are relatively easy foods to make, under $5 a day.
To them, human suffering is just a toy, a tool with which, from their own vantage point of assumed oppression, they get to decide who lives and who dies. Ultimately, human suffering is just chess pieces.
Wow, you really have a way of making veganism sound like something it's totally not, something evil, dark, and scary. Like, can you be specific? Like, can you give me one example of how vegans have the right to determine who lives or dies? I mean, that's a huge, awesome power. And we don't have that. That's more like something like maybe the courts have or something, doctors. But no, that's not what vegans do. And human suffering is like chess pieces. I mean, maybe you've encountered some really wacky, zany, nutty vegans. And I know they're out there in social media. I've banned many vegans from my channel, from my live streams, because they're so extreme and wacky. And maybe that's what she's talking about.
Additionally, when you go back into some of these people's profiles, you see comparisons of not being vegan to sexual assault and its minimization, which does not make sense in their own logic.
Okay, I kind of know what she's talking about, I think, but I think she misunderstood what she read or heard. It's not that not being vegan is comparable to sexual assault. There are some practices in animal agriculture that are very similar to what we would describe as sexual assault if the same actions were performed on humans. Out of curiosity, I went on to Twitter and searched for this older post that she was responding to here, and it goes back to a discussion that Lifting Vegan Logic was having with people. And his post is just highlighting the sort of hypocrisy that non-vegans have about, say, sexual abuse. When talking about humans, yeah, everyone, for the most part, agrees that sexual abuse is wrong. But when applied towards animals, who are also living sentient beings with feelings, emotions, the wrongness of sexual abuse is no longer applicable. And he's just asking the very reasonable question, why not?
You have quite classic framing often used by pro-lifers too, such as the minimization of the Holocaust and calling animal agriculture the Holocaust, therefore comparing Jewish people to animals and livestock.
All right, a lot to unpack here, a lot of very triggering concepts here, controversial concepts. I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, there are vegans who compare what's happening with animal agriculture as a Holocaust. And technically, by definition, they are correct. If we look at the definition of what a Holocaust means, a slaughtering, yes, they are technically correct in that. But by doing so, they are not minimizing what's known as the Holocaust. They're just saying there is an animal Holocaust. As a vegan activist, I personally decided not to go and use the Holocaust kind of language when discussing topics with non-vegans because the concepts of veganism are already very difficult for a lot of people to grasp. And I think if you bring up some very easily triggering concepts like Holocaust with a small h, it still has the ability to confuse and blow up discussions, as it seemingly has done in this particular case.
Similarly, you have this individual that I screenshotted before they had the opportunity to delete it, who said they wanted to wipe out the entire bloodline of a Jewish person who was talking about keeping kosher. And while this may have been a troll, very real people agreed with them and minimized the anti-Semitic remarks that were said.
So it's very likely that this very anti-Semitic racist post is written by a troll. I'm glad you acknowledge that. But then it seems like you misunderstood the follow-up comments about, you said there's people that responded to this racist troll who seemed to be agreeing with him and supporting him. Because let's take a look, because you obviously misunderstood what they're saying. So here's the vegan that you said is supposedly agreeing with the racist troll. And the way I read it, and please comment down below if you see it in a different way, they're saying, hey, anti-vegans are going to love this racist troll. They're going to generalize from this one idiot that all vegans are racist. And by the way, I want to point out on our live stream rules, and this is applicable to all comments on our YouTube channel, racism is completely unacceptable and will get you banned immediately.
And then this person even tweeted at me a picture of dead black people, comparing them to meat. Because black people are always going to be livestock to vegans.
That is such a hateful, hurtful thing to say to us as a class of people, vegans, because a few idiot trolls made some crap comments and you're generalizing that all of us think in these horrifically hateful ways, and you return it back by making a hateful comment about us. I mean, no, vegans don't see black people as livestock. And are you not aware there's many black vegan activists and they're vegans? So are you saying they also see black people as livestock? Are you not aware of, say, like actress and author Tabitha Brown?
Her story wild, she a viral sensation. When she went vegan, she turned up the whole nation. Her cooking is the bomb, she America's mom.
Or film director John Lewis's recent great work, They're Trying to Kill Us, which shows how African Americans have been targeted by American businesses and corporations to keep them unhealthy, particularly through poor food choices.
Poor diets kill more brothers than pistols. You know, we fighting for our lives.
So I hope I've been able to illustrate that veganism and racism are not actually synonymous, as you seem to indicate. The vegan community is pretty diverse, and in recent years there's been a rapid rise in black Americans, in particular, going vegan. While TikTok and X's algorithms might be bringing more of these enraging troll type accounts into your feed, if you were to take some time to explore other vegan accounts, I'm sure you'd find there are many reasonable people out there that embrace the vegan lifestyle. We're a diverse group of people who are against animal cruelty and exploitation, and I will apologize for any idiot vegans you have been encountering online. This is how life is. There's idiot vegans, there's idiot non-vegans. It's not like when you go vegan, you all of a sudden become a good person if you were an a-hole before. I wish it worked like that, but it doesn't. If you're an a-hole, you're going to be an a-hole no matter what you're eating. So anyway, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. Please be polite here. I've been going out of my way to make sure that this is not any kind of hate video. I don't want to contribute to some kind of hate war that's happening between Amani and vegans. I just wanted to set the record straight with facts and evidence and logic. So anyway, guys, hit like, comment down below, share this video. Until next time, remember, doesn't suck being vegan.